missionaries are here, Peter and Gwen Bollant, if y'all like to come up. If you don't know, this is where our money goes to that we give during Sunday school, okay? So, I just, not that come out a little weird, I'm sorry. But what I'm saying is we give to missions, we give to missionaries, it's a missions offering at Sunday school, and that's why it's important to show up to Sunday school. Also, if you want to give to Peter and Gwen on the little Church God envelopes, you can just put missionary there. So they are full-time. They're back right now, and what they do, they don't go around and beg for money. I invited them here. You know what they do when they come back to the States? They flip houses, and then they go back to the Philippines. They're incredibly hardworking. Their integrity is through the roof, and they change hundreds and hundreds of lives for the gospel overseas. So I had to just mention that, just put one more plug in there. So they're going to update us on what's been going on in the Philippines this year.
So in March, Peter headed back to the Philippines, and because we do flip houses, I waited for the closing on the house that we called the cat house. 46 cats, yes. It was terrible. And it was the Great Transformation House. God has been so good to us. When the rest of people that are in contracting are not making money on houses, He is so good to us. He provides. He really does. So we flipped the cat house, and then now we were in the Philippines for, 4 months, 5 months last spring, and then we went back again in the fall, and I had a team come from a place called Giving University. They're a multi-million-dollar company out of California that our son Ariel teaches for. They have a humanitarian arm or a nonprofit attached to their company that gives money for charities, many different. But anyway, our son Ariel teaches for them and got us involved with them, and they sent a team of students to the Philippines. 15 students came in September, and they looked at 10 nonprofits. So I got to choose the nonprofits. So people that I know that are in ministry that are doing an amazing job. These 15 students went and looked at them all, and then they come and make a decision. They write a project proposal back to their company, make decisions as to how to distribute finances there. And so that was a real blessing for us. But that is not our major ministry. In the meantime, Peter and Ariel were teaching in a tribal area while I was doing that. And our focus has been teaching pastors, okay? We want to teach the leaders because all of these leaders have a whole congregation underneath them to teach, okay? And we originally, 3 years ago, we went and moved into a Muslim area in the northern part of our island. And it was getting to the point where it wasn't safe for us to be there because of our white faces. You know, you just kind of stand out. And everybody was getting to know where we lived. And with a few warnings, we moved down to Davao, and that's where we set up. But while we were up there, we started a Bible school, because when you get out into the Bukit, as the word is in Cebuano and in Tagalog, when you get out of the cities and into the mountain areas where the Muslims are, where the tribal people are, there are not the Bible schools there. They're in the cities, right? So that's where we go. We set up a Bible school in Pagadian, which was the city that we were living in. And we have entered into our 4th semester of this Bible school. Many of the pastors in there have many churches. Like, you can fill them in on the number of churches that, one guy, Jonathan, how many churches does he have?
You mean Pastor June?
The guy that you were
Pastor June, who's actually considered a bishop, he has over 42 churches on earth. And one of the things, last year we just celebrated our 40th year in the Philippines. We first 25 years were full time, and the last 10 years have been flipping houses and doing other things, which allows us to raise resources to. Now, a lot of our students are planting churches, and we network with a lot of different organizations. So our years now that we want to spend, hopefully the next 20 years, is in mentoring and training leaders. And so Gwen mentioned one of our schools, but out of that school, Bishop June, who attends, and none of these people have been through formal training, but they're up in the very difficult areas, the tribal areas, the rural areas, and June is over 42 churches. One of our other students, Pedro Albiso, is in the same area about 20 minutes away, and he now has over 500 churches. One of our students from back in the 80s. So what we do is go into a lot of these difficult areas and set up mobile schools where we go in like once a month and do training for leaders in those schools. And so part of it, like I say with Pastor Pedro, over 500 June, but I would say probably we have 50 of our students we work with, people we've taught, trained, who are now been pastoring the last 20, 30 years. And most of them have anywhere from 2 or 3 churches up to 500. And so we go into a lot of their areas where they're planning churches and do training, especially if we're there not full-time. It's a little bit safer for us in these areas. Plus, I speak 2 of the languages there now in their areas, so which makes it a lot easier to communicate directly with the leaders. So one of the schools we set up was called Seed, and which is a training for these pastors. But we, out of that now, is grown, and we have 2 other schools set up, and now there's another 4 or 5 that they want us. And these are getting further and further up into the mountain areas, which is a little bit of a struggle when you're not 25 years old anymore to get up in these areas. Either you have to hike a lot of long ways, or maybe sometimes ride motorcycle through the rivers and things like that to get up to a lousy. But
in September, we went across a river to get into a tribal area 17 times.
To cross the river.
I'm telling you, if we had taken a video and sent it to Ford, or Toyota, rather, it was a Toyota 4x4, and sent it to Toyota, I'm sure they would have gotten a vehicle for it. It was incredible.
And a big part of what we do is network with so many of our students, and some of them are in various organizations now.
We're talking no roads. You realize that, right? Yeah. Okay, good.
So one of the groups, we just celebrated our 30th anniversary with ACM, and we do training for them, and that's out of the 700 Club. And Gwen and I were instrumental in bringing them to the southern Philippines, and they just celebrated their 30th year anniversary, and as part of their training, and just last year alone, out of ACM, on our island alone, we sent out 135 missionaries just from our island and 12 different countries. So we go into a lot of these areas, not only Philippines. In August, I was part of Africa, and we are also, Gwen and I have been a part of training in Burma. Now, that's been a struggle because Burma it's been under civil war for 60, 70 years. In 2021, they had one of their first elections in 2020. It lasted for a whole year, and then the military took over. And so the Christian tribal groups, there's 27 tribal areas, and probably at least 5 or 6 of those tribal groups are predominantly Christian now because of missionaries that went up into those very difficult areas. And just in April, the year ago, April when we were there, 1,000 homes of our students were burned to the ground. In fact, the main guy that Gwen works with.
And okay, now I teach online by Zoom with a pastor that has a school in Burma. Okay, so now he was sending me pictures ever since a year ago. Oh, I guess it's a year and a half ago. We were in Burma, and saying my wife is ready to run into the jungle. This is her backpack that she'd wear. It's one of these ones that wear across the front of the head, and all the bedding and stuff that she would need was in the back, because the military come in and they just kill everybody. They burn down houses.
The Christian villages, mostly.
Yes. Not Christians and Muslims. Okay? You've heard of the Rohingya? Rohingya? No? Okay. Well, they were big news a few years ago because of the genocides that was taking place there.
If you genocide a Muslim,
it gets on the news, but the genocide of Christians, and it's bad. It is not good. So then in May this year, he sent me a text, and school is out. They burned everything. The military came in and burned down his house, and he sent me pictures of the church and the house, and they had to run, and they're still not able to go back into their village because the military will not allow them to go back in. So once again, 1,000 Christians, their homes were burned to the ground. And they are trying now to make a living. Okay, now this is in May, so it's been a few months and a little bit of time to probably get your. But imagine yourself, you fled with your family, you went to relatives or friends or somebody that you knew that is in another city, and you're trying to make a living and trying to feed them. So we're going in February, and we're hosting a seminar, okay? And we're trying to think, okay, now what would be really advantageous? I don't want to just go and preach, be warm and well fed, okay? So, first of all, we're going to teach about how God can utilize the bad times, right? And then, secondly, we're trying to think of ways to help these pastors. And one of the thoughts is that we give each one 2 chickens and a rooster. Okay? So that, they got instant eggs, right? And then we have to teach them and train them how to take care of those. But those are just some of the ideas. We're trying to think of entrepreneurship, ways that you can help somebody in the midst of famine or in the midst of the trials and the tribulations. So we're going in February and doing 2 separate seminars, one in Rangoon and one up in Calais, which is the area that has been burned out. And so just pray with us that we're not just going to...
Because normally missionaries aren't allowed to get up in those areas now because of the war. They're not, white people are not allowed to go up in those areas. But Dr. Kai, that we've worked with over the past few years and just graduated from the same graduate school with us, is just got his second doctorate. And we've taught in some of his schools in Malaysia, United States, and in Burma. So we're going to be going back up into those areas, God willing, God helping us, to be able to do training for leaders up in those areas. And one of the things we've done as well with leaders, I just got back from Africa, and one of the groups we've worked with in the Tibili, the Bollant, and the Subanan tribe in our island, we actually took one of the tribal chiefs, went with me to the from the Philippines to Africa. We just got back from Kenya. We were with the Maasai and the Samburu tribes out in the
way out, you guys. How many hours did it take you to get there?
22 hours.
22 hours from Nairobi Airport, okay, on back roads.
But anyway,
they're the people that need the teaching. They're the pastors that need the training, because they're pastoring without any kind of formal training, pastoring in heresy.
And just one more quick thing, so we'll hand it back over, is one of the things we've been doing over the past few years in our training schools is we have some of our students who work with us who are pastoring 8, 10, 15 churches, but they're also people that have been successful in business. One of our students, just wanted to tell you about him, in the 1980s when he was our student, he was living on $3 a week. And he had to get to 9 Bible study home churches to take care of 9 Bible study home groups. And he was living on $3. And that $3 included his fare to get to these places. And they had a half a sack of rice between 6 student pastors that were at one of the Bible schools we taught in. Well, anyway, when we were shipping over containers to try to help with livelihoods, he bought a bicycle from us on installment, and he ended up using that and a sewing machine. Started his first business, and now today he owns probably 15 businesses. And one of his businesses, he has a car rental business, has about 50 vehicles in it. And we just helped him dedicate his 12th bakery. And they use that not only to help fund not only
traveling with us, teaching these pastors entrepreneurship. And like if you've got a church on a hectare of land, start planting it, and you will reap a harvest in 3 years' time that is going to support your family.
Because he not only went through Bible school, but he also got a scholarship to go through agricultural school. So he is able to go into these areas and help train people on how they can actually survive and provide for their own families as well. So he travels, and one of the good things, is if you're a white person and you're trying to tell an Asian person about livelihood, it's one thing, but to have another Asian person, that literally has been raised up out of as big a poverty as you'll ever see, and then now can speak from experience with practical help. So we do the Bible training, we do the training of leaders, but we also provide the means for developing livelihood as well. So this has been a big part of what we're trying to do, not only in the Philippines, but hopefully in Burma. And I was just in Kenya, literally the Samburu and Maasai tribe. They go to the puddles on the side of the road to collect water. That's where they get their water from. And that's for washing and cleaning. And they have to walk 10 miles to get water. The women walk 10 miles. The women collect sticks another 10 miles for cooking. It's one of the issues we're trying to train the men as well. It's not just women who do all the work. And so we've been doing training as well about men. 1 Timothy 5:8, anybody knows that one, says what? Any man who doesn't provide for his own family is what? Has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. So we're part of bringing the kingdom of God is not just preaching Jesus, but how do we apply the faith in practical areas to impact culture? Because ultimately, almost every third world country in the world is third world, not just because of lack of resources, but it's because of culture. So we have to impact and change culture as well through effective discipleship, preaching the gospel, teaching disciples, but training leaders. So anyway, thank you. We just, God bless you guys. It's good to be here.
Again, please continue giving, whether that's at Sunday school or just in general. You can put that on your envelope. But that connects your faith with what they're doing, right? And supporting them. And we just really appreciate you guys. Today is Pastor Appreciation. And, so we appreciate our missionary pastors. Glad they were here. And then Peter started sending me a long text message of updates. I said, Peter, I'm just calling you. He's like, oh, we're in. I said, well, good. Pastor Appreciation is coming up. You need to come. So we do have a gift for you as well. You'll get that before you leave today. But we do appreciate you guys so much.